Welcome to the Comix Corner Podcast with B-Lar and Danny P.
Hey now, everybody.
We've reached issue 21, and I must say that it's a pleasure to bring this podcast to you weekly, and we hope you're enjoying it too. This week, as Danny P continues to do his best to deal with shipping issues, we're going to talk about what we've been reading and what we're looking forward to. Let's dive into the wave of the 80s and 90s cartoons that are transitioning into comic books, as well as our new ones for the week of January 15th, as long as I remember to read them this week. We are brought to you by the CLZ app and are a member of the SPDM Crew. Please check out the SPDM website for a variety of podcasts at spdmcrew.com. Danny, how things going?
Hey, how you doing? How you doing? So far, so good. Got about a week's and a half worth of books in the last 48 hours, but getting everything out there, and we'll get the rest of the books on Friday. So slowly that gets better. So I was excited. We got to order with Penguin Random House this week. I know it's a small thing to order, but it's just cool ordering with different companies, seeing the stuff they have, how that works. So started doing it with them. So as things move forward here, we were talking about that with Diamond, that with Chapter 11 things are going to change. So I don't know. It's not necessarily a bad thing. You never know with change, but just finding different vendors now, So and a lot of that's already in place because since the pandemic, other people have already jumped into this. So that's why
I was reading. I was reading the article and a little bit of it, and I saw you posted stuff on the Facebook page, letting all the customers know. It said now that Diamond had Marvel left them, and my understanding is Diamond's still with Marvel. So I didn't know if that was
see before it was just them, and they were the guys in charge, and they were the main wholesaler, and now they became like the middleman, just like everybody else, because Marvel's now through Penguin Random House, and then they send them out to other places. So that's in fact part of the problem why we're getting stuff later, because they send it to them and then they send it out to us instead of them being first call.
I see. Gotcha. So, well, now that all that business is out of the way,
yes.
What you been reading, Danny?
A bunch of cool stuff this week. I checked out one called Juvenile from Image. It was written and illustrated by Jesus Orellana, which I wasn't familiar with, but very cool. I got it because I love Levette's art, and she did a variant cover. So that's what grabbed me, was actually a cover, and it's pretty much, they have it that it's one of those kind of dystopian futures where a bunch of kids died. This is the aftermath. It was a huge virus, and the kids that make it through being juveniles and the teenagers are almost in like a kind of hospital / boot camp / school situation, and all of a sudden somebody new comes to join them and things change. So that was pretty cool. That's a 5-parter that they're going to be doing. I got to jump into Sam Wilson Captain America #1, and it was definitely synergy at its finest. We get Sam in there. They have Bradley, who I believe is going to be in the movie as well. It's his birthday. It's either him or his son's going to be in the movie, and by the end we get Ross and Red Hulk and all that. So it was a pretty good beginning. Someone's behind it all, and we'll get to find out who it is. But it was a cool start. I always like Red Hulk, so it's neat to see him back in the mix. And the last one I got to this week was Cruel Kingdom, another one from EC Comics, from EC Comics / Oni Press. They're continuing going with those kind of short story vignettes. With this time, it was kind of like sci-fi meets medieval times. There was one that was a cool kind of fairy tale meets horror movies, and so I've enjoyed all those so far. Between that and Epitaph from the Abyss and Cruel Universe, they've done a really nice job with all the EC redo stuff. What about you? What'd you get to check out this week?
I finally got a chance to get into Aquaman #1. Jeremy Adams and John Timms working together, and John Timms, he's a phenomenal artist. Close second to Dan Mora for me. I like everything he's done. The covers that he was doing for the Absolute Power, they did that 9-part connection poster with his covers. It was just great. Aquaman, we're finally getting to him. The powers from Absolute Power, they were talking about how some powers were going to get switched with people, and we just found out that Aquaman has gotten Mira's shape-changing water power, and he's training on how to deal with that. And then there's stuff going on with Atlantis, and we get to a splash page, and there's a Omega symbol of Darkseid that shows up. So we'll see what happens with that. DC vs. Vampires #6, halfway through the series. And speaking of Darkseid, he shows up on the Vampire Earth. Now, this is Elseworld, so it's not anything to do with All In, but the Earth versus vampires, the Earth heroes versus the vampires, they were coming to a head at a battle, and Darkseid shows up and basically he wants to know where Scott Free and his daughter are also. And uh, the Aquaman there says, yeah, they're dead. I drowned them.
Oh,
They're
wow.
dead. So Darkseid grabs him, says, well, you're useless. And he squeezes him, kills him, and says, there's no reason for me to spare the earth then. And opens up portals and Parademon shows up. So pretty cool.
No
We got
doubt.
6 more issues to get through. And I think they're throwing a little mini series. It said something about, DC versus Vampires, War V, Light and Darkness, or something like that. So we'll see. I hadn't noticed that in the preview books, so looking forward to it. And then since I suggested it, the Terror and Fury #1, I went through that, and guess vampires are hot right now because this is also a future where we got vampires and zombies, and the 2 characters, Terror is a 1940s hero who's resurrected and doesn't know how, so he's still trying to get his bearings, and right now he's just kind of following orders from the group called Shade. And Fury just likes killing, and so they are working together, and they send them on a couple missions. And artwork reminds me of early Image stuff, the Rob Liefeld, Blood Strike, that kind of artwork. So pretty interested in it, and we'll see where it goes. It's 3-issue series, so it's not going to hurt the pocketbook too much to pick up the issues and check it out. So one of the things that's been happening, I'm not going to say frequently, but it's been happening, is some of the old cartoons, the nostalgic 80s, 90s cartoons are getting picked up and being rebooted into comics. And Thundercats, I think, was a strong one that's been going recently. G.I. Joe is getting redone, the Joshua Williamson. And then Transformers, Void Rivals. We've got Silverhawks coming out. Sectars is issue 3, supposed to be coming out this week. At least I'm recommending it. It's one of my picks that I'm looking forward to. Danny, is this something you see frequently, like recycling, or is this just it's happening right now because
They've gotten bigger with the covers, I think that's the biggest difference. They've always had, either some of the Mad Balls or Garbage Pail Kids, or, all those kind of the 80s stuff. Elf has bounced around, and also like Masters of the Universe has probably had so many different series through the years, bouncing between Marvel and DC, Image, and they're at Dark Horse now. But yeah, I think the biggest difference is, Thundercats, I think, had well over 40 covers. The same thing with that Silverhawks coming out. That Mark Spears is a big artist right now, and I think he had, if you go through all the foil covers and everything, about 6 different covers on that one. So it's cool to see all these things become popular again that way. And then also even a little bit further back than the 80s, but Space Ghost, it's a great read. So that's really taken on its own thing as well.
Right. And, Flash Gordon coming back was a cartoon, and then Defenders of Earth. That was an 80s cartoon too. The Gargoyles, that was one of those cartoons that you didn't know how good it was going to be when you were a kid. And then as you got older, it just kept getting better and better. And it seems like some of the companies too, like you were saying, how the licensing, it's like Marvel gives it up and then somebody else takes it and tries to run with it. And sometimes that's good, sometimes it's bad. And, G.I. Joe, I mean, they're keeping the numbers going on the American Hero stories. And I think they're at 312, but they've bounced around from, Dark Horse to IDW and now to Image. So, it's just when you get a story and characters that you can keep coming, they bring in new writers, or like Larry Hama has done G.I. Joe, but they're able to bring back these guys and create some new stories and some twists. And like you said, they're in all these great covers that people are wanting to get because of the artwork. It's good for you as a, store owner, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it just gives more options again, more reason for people to come in. People looking for nostalgia, people looking for art, and also people looking for a great read. That G.I. Joe and the Transformer stuff is a totally different take than what they've done before. And I love that they've given Mr. Hama his own book is still going on with A Real American Hero, but this other one in the Energon universe is just cool to see the different tweaks and what they've done with Baroness so far, and where that's going. And it seems to succeed, because I know Free Comic, the first Saturday in May, we're going to be giving out a Speed Racer. Mad Cave is going to take that on for sure. So that's another one from the past to retread again as well.
Yep. And you've actually read the Johnny Quest you've enjoyed.
Yeah, Johnny Quest was very cool. So again, further back than the 80s, but yeah, that was a great one.
Yeah, it's just, the one I saw that really, I'm not gonna lie, I'm very much looking forward to, almost more than Silverhawks, is Herculoids. I just saw an ad for that.
Yeah.
And that's a Glob and Gleek, and But hopefully somebody grabs Thundar the Barbarian and does something good with Thundar, because that was always one of my favorites too.
You never know.
So you know what? Really, what needs to happen is, do you remember Laugh Olympics, Danny?
Absolutely, man. Yeah, that was on when I came from some school at the time. Yeah, in USA, absolutely.
We got to have the Really Rottens against the Scooby Doos, and
they did try that too. Scooby Doo had that one where that was kind of Scooby Doo meets Walking Dead, which did really well, and then some of them were kind of too far out there. They did a Wacky Racers, but that which I believe was the dude that did Mad Max, but that one was too out there. So sometimes the idea is to get away from them too.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, what are you looking forward to this week?
This week, I got a couple here. I really just liked all these horror ones, the anthologies. So got one from Ahoy Comics called Howl. Has a couple of short stories in it that looked really interesting. The cover alone grabs me, of a Cthulhu-looking woman just drinking, just the arch gorgeous. And the next one was DC. You got me intrigued by this because I have to find out what a fractured Green Lantern is. So Green Lantern Fractured Spectrum starts this week. I'm excited to see what's going on in that one. I'm sure I'll have questions. And the other one, they introduced him a little bit in that Ultimate Universe 1 year later, but Ultimate Wolverine looks pretty sweet as well. So those were the three biggest ones. And I was telling you that What If has been fantastic too with the Galactus. So we had the first one was Hulk, the second was Gambit, and this week we get Moon Knight. So those are all pretty awesome. But those were the top on my list. What were you looking forward to?
One of yours, the Ultimate Wolverine #1. I was, when I first got back into comics, I promised myself I would just do DC. And then we started doing this little project together, and I wanted to broaden my horizon some and added Marvel and some of the Image stuff and Energon Universe. And I'm scared to get into the Ultimate Universe, but man, that Ultimate Wolverine character just looks awesome. So
yeah, it's neat how they've just had Maker touch everything and change everybody, and it just seeing where they go with it. Just the Ultimate now, the Absolute. It's neat to see them recreate something. It's the same but different. It's just fantastic.
Definitely. I Absolute Batman 4. I haven't had a chance to read that yet, but I'm loving where all of the books are heading. And this month, actually, I believe there's going to start getting some of the other ones that are coming. The Martian Manhunter and Flash.
Yeah, we have Martian Manhunter, Flash, and Green Lantern pretty soon. Yeah.
Oh, Green Lantern too. Yeah.
I know some people at the store seem to think that the Absolute Batman was only a 5-parter, but I know they already were talking about ideas all the way up to number 13. So I know that's
the first storyline, Zoo, I believe, is just a 5-parter.
Yeah, just 5. Yeah, but that's the story.
It's going to keep going. Yeah.
Do you need an easy way to catalog your comics? Try the CLZ app. You can scan a barcode with the built-in camera scanner with a 99% success rate. You can find the series by title, or you could search a specific issue by title and issue number. Or the latest feature, you can scan the cover with your camera. That's right, folks, you heard me correctly. All you need to do is aim the camera from your cell phone at the comic book, and it will scan the cover and input the information right into your database. The CLZ Core Online Comic Database automatically provides cover art and full comic details like series, issue number, publisher, plot, creator list, character list. The details go on and on. It will automatically provide key comic information like first appearances, deaths, cameo appearances, iconic covers, and origins. You can edit these details from the CLZ Core, like the series issue number and variant description, and add personal details like storage box location, comic book grade, purchase date, and prices. You're able to try the CLZ app for free for 7 days. After that, it's just $1.99 a month or $19.99 a year. That's right, folks. Free for 7 days as you catalog your books using one of the 4 ways to input your information. You can download the CLZ app anywhere you get your applications. The CLZ app is a proud sponsor of the Comix Corner Podcast with Danny P. And now back to the podcast.
Yeah, so what I'm looking forward to is You Won't Feel a Thing. #1, it's Scott Schneider and Jock, a detective with a brain tumor and memory loss, and has to catch a serial killer from his past. And they're talking about somewhat of a horror storyline. So that's right up your alley a little bit there, Dan.
Oh, yeah, Scott Snyder, he's had me ever since Batman and Metal and all that stuff, so I always like to check out his work.
Laura Kinney, Wolverine #2, Wolverine versus Daredevil. That's the Elektra Daredevil. And pretty much enough said there. Sector's #3, Prince Dargon has been bested in combat by a more experienced General Spidrax. And let's see how he deals with that. In Resurgent, Valiant, Bloodshot, is a one-shot. It's got Ray versus Bloodshot, Samurai versus Soldier. So that was one thing Valiant did early on. I remember is they had Ray come out. It was one of the first ones, and then Bloodshot came out later, and you ended up finding out that the blood in Ray is actually the same as Bloodshot's, the nanites, and it lasted so long it goes into the future. So it's pretty cool. They're going to have them battle now. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I'm looking forward to. The new ones for this week, it's actually a pretty short list, and we talked about some of it. Ahoy Comics Howl #1, Dark Horse Behemoth #1. DC's got the Green Lantern Fractured Spectrum. Distillery Media's You Won't Feel a Thing. Image Comics Finders Keepers. Marvel Comics has Rogue the Savage Land, which is an interesting looking story with Rogue and Magneto and Kazar. And then Ultimate Wolverine #1 and What If Galactus Transformed Moon Knight. And then Valiant Comics Resurgence of Valiant Universe Bloodshot one shot. So that's pretty much what we got. That's all, folks.
That's all, folks.
So I was trying to think. I was like, that's all we got for this week.
We covered it all, man. You took everything off the board.
Yeah. Danny, talk to me about the Subscription Club?
Stop on by this month and join us. Come join the club. It's $20 one-time fee as long as you keep on coming on. This month it's free. You get 25% off the new titles and 10% off everything else. That way you don't miss anything. A little side note for this week. So we get a majority of the new books tomorrow, and we will get the rest on Friday. So that is improvement. So we're getting there.
Yeah, hopefully, you don't lose your hair going crazy about this stuff.
No. Pop's never lost his hair, nor did Grandpa on either side. So I'm golden. I worry about it going gray, but there's nothing you can do.
All right. Well, that wraps up another issue of the Comix Corner Podcast with B-Lar and Danny P. We are part of the SPDM Podcast Crew. I would like to thank the CLZ app for their sponsorship. Please check out the CLZ app where you get a chance. Please check us out on social media at Comix Corner Podcast on Facebook and Comix Corner Pod, all one word, on Instagram. And as always, comics is with an X. Thanks for listening and have a great week.
Read well, everybody.